Look what it says here. Germany's MERS vows to build Europe's strongest army. And America is applauding this shit. You sure you want to applaud this after 2 world wars? Are you sure? I mean, the Ottoman Empire is one thing, right? Reviving Turkish power, bringing back the Ottoman Empire, that's one thing. But we're talking about Germany. We're talking about a country that faced the entire Russian Empire all at once. The Soviet Union was not just Russia. It was Russia and its whole empire. So it faced the entire Russian Empire. It faced the United States, Great Britain, and numerous other countries all at once. You sure you want to deal with this? And it's still, even though it was completely outnumbered, it still managed to kill tens of millions of soldiers. Are you sure you want to deal with this? And look at what Mr. Merz says. He says here, our friends and partners also expect this from us, and what's more, they are actually demanding it. Germany will take more responsibility for Europe's defense by building the strongest army in the EU. They want to make, isn't this what I was telling you guys? Is this not what is this not what I have been telling you guys? I said they're going to make the biggest military in Europe. How did I know that? 2 reasons why. First reason is because it's obvious. Say it's the biggest economy in all of Europe, so naturally it's going to make the biggest military in Europe. Secondly, I read the think tanks. Germany has a good number of militarist think tanks that are connected with the German parliament, or the Bundestag. And I read through a number of these think tanks years ago, and they wrote a whole bunch of articles on this topic. And what these articles were saying was that Germany needs to become the biggest military in Europe. And that Germany not only needs to become the biggest military in Europe, but that it needs to have European auxiliary forces that will join it. And that will be led by Germany. So we're talking essentially about the Reich. And even Donald Trump talked about this a number of years ago. He said this back in 2022, I believe, or 2023. I believe it was 2023. YouTube took this interview down, but you can find it on Rumble. Donald Trump said, Germany is bringing back its military. It's not good, guys. And the interviewers, I'm starting to sound German myself. The interviewers asked Trump, what do you mean? And Trump said, well, look at what happened in World War II and World War I. Wasn't very fun, was it? They're gonna build the biggest military in Europe. And guys, I'm telling you right now, I'm telling y'all right now, they're gonna have their own Hitler. And because the world will have listened to so much Kanye West, and because the world will have already been saying Heil Hitler so many damn times, when they see a real Hitler, they're going to embrace him. The world will accept him as a hero. Americans will love him because he'll be based and anti-woke, and he'll be a nationalist. And the Europeans will embrace him because he will be a strong leader who will face the Russians. Another Hitler is going to rise up. World War I, they had Kaiser Wilhelm II. He was like a Hitler light. He was pretty bad. World War II, they had Adolf Hitler. World War III, they're going to have another Hitler. The federal government will provide all the financial resources that the Bundeswehr needs to become the strongest conventional army in Europe. This is more than appropriate for the most populous and economically strongest country in all of Europa. Our friends and partners will also expect this from us, and what's more, they are actually demanding it. So Poland got exterminated by the Germans, and now Poland is telling the Germans to make their military strong. Did you see how crazy this is? Our goal as a country, a Germany and a Europe that are together so strong that we never have to use our weapons. We'll be so strong that even Russia will be afraid of us. That's what he's saying here, by the way. And what is happening in the midst of this revival of German militarism? The revival of German nationalism, as I've said many times. And what's going to happen? Militarism, nationalism. And not only that, all of this has America's blessing. All of this entire Leviathan, has America's blessing. So because it has America's blessing, it's going to be accelerated. And the acceleration of this process of militarism and nationalism is going to be a million miles an hour. This is going to happen fast. And I'm not saying it's going to happen 5 years from now, but you watch 10 years from now, it's going to be a whole different world. It's going to be a whole different world, guys. They are 10 million Turks there. Great. Great. They can fight for the Germans because Germany is going to be an ally of your country, Turkey. And just like in World War I, you had Germans fighting the British in Palestine to help the Turks. You had Germans in the Dardanelles fighting the British to fight the Turks. You had Turks helping the Germans fight the Russians and the British. So the Turks and the Germans are friends. So what? You have 10 million Turks in Germany? That's great. They will join the military. At the same time, Merz vowed that Germany, Ukraine's second biggest provider of military aid after the United States, would continue to back Kiev. There must be no doubt about where we stand. Namely, unconditionally on the sides of the Ukrainians. So if the Americans back down and say, Ukraine, we're not going to help you, guess what's going to happen? Germany is going to take the lead. And because Germany is going to become the biggest military force in all of Europe, that means you're talking about a massive German power running Europe facing Russia. That's a Reich. Secondly, remember, what did the Germans want in World War I? They wanted Ukraine. What did they want in World War II? Ukraine. What do they want now? Ukraine. All of the parallels with history, they're coming out. Some of them are already out in the open, but more and more of these parallels are going to manifest themselves. We're living in the craziest era ever. I mean, people back in the 60s, they were so bored, they started taking drugs. 70s, they were so bored off their minds, they were frying their brains on shrooms and listening to the Doors because the only thing crazy that was happening was Vietnam. Now, we're literally seeing people praising Adolf Hitler and we're seeing the Germans coming back. I mean, this is a crazy time to be alive. You have to admit it. For Merz, following through on the promise to build Europe's largest conventional army won't be easy. General Carsten Breuer, Germany's top military commander, told an audience at the German Council on Foreign Relations in April that Germany needs 100,000 additional troops as quickly as possible. So what happens when not enough German guys want to voluntarily join the military? You know what they're going to do? They're going to bring back the draft. And isn't Trump of German descent? He is a proud ethnic German. That's correct. He also talks about his German genes. And there he is. Here he is helping the... So hold on. Let's connect some dots here. Trump is a proud German. Trump has spoken about his German genes. Okay? Trump is pushing the Germans to make their military strong again. Trump, before this, in 2023, Trump does an interview in which he says that reviving German militarism would be a bad idea given what happened in World War I and World War II. What can I deduce from this? Because there's a contradiction. In one moment, Trump says it's a bad idea to bring back Germany's military. And then in another moment, he is pushing the Germans to bring back their military. So what can I conclude from this? What I can conclude is that Trump knows exactly what he is doing when he tells the Germans to bring their military back. He knows he's bringing the Reich back because he said, if you bring the German military back, it's a bad idea because of World War I and World War II. Yet at the same time, the Trump administration is backing the German nationalist fanatics, the AfD. So he knows what he is doing. The Americans aren't stupid. They know, regardless of the stereotype, they know what they're doing. They know they're bringing back Nazism. And that is why they had the whole migrant crisis. I think they did it on purpose. I think they allowed the migrant crisis to happen to bring back Nazism. And they knew exactly what was going to happen. And I believe that the Americans know exactly what they're doing. Why do I say this? Other than the facts that I've already presented to you, remember, During the Cold War, the Americans worked with Nazis. During the Cold War, the Americans worked with Nazis. They knew they were working with former SS leaders. During Operation Gladio, the Americans were working with neo-Nazis to create a paramilitary organization to face the Soviet Union in the case of a Soviet invasion of Europe. So all of a sudden now you're saying the Americans have dementia? They don't know what they're doing? They know exactly what they're doing. They're supporting the revival of Nazism, and they're making it very obvious. Very obvious. Controlled opposition. What is controlled opposition exactly? 2033 is when the world ends. Listen, I don't want to get into the dates and all this stuff, because if it doesn't happen on 2023 or 2033, guess whose ass is on the line? Your ass. So it's not a good idea. I have to get going. Okay, we said this. Trump has family in Germany with whom he is ashamed to meet. I don't know about that. Yeah. It's very obvious what's happening. The Americans know exactly what they're doing, because they got together in the drawing board and they said, okay, what was the worst war that Russia ever faced? World War II. All right, we'll bring back the Nazis. Simple solution. The AfD wants to get nukes. Why would Germany want to get nukes? So they can nuke Russia. Because they're looking at a final solution. Because they want to end the whole Russian threat to their domination. Because Russia is the biggest threat to their domination in Europe. If you could destroy the Russians, then you could take all of Russia and take the resources. And it's yours. You're the king of the world. It's the final boss fight. That's what it is. They're all fighting over who's going to become Elden Lord. You got Germany versus Russia. They both want to be Elden Lord. Germany's got its ashes of war. What's the ashes of war of Germany? Punctuality. And you think Elon Musk buying X was a random act? It was a random purchase? No, I don't believe that for a second. We know for a fact that Twitter, YouTube, all these big social media outlets are being used by the CIA to spread propaganda. We know this for a fact. We know that YouTube's been used for this purpose. We knew that. We know that Twitter has been used for this purpose. We know that Facebook has been used for this purpose. So the CIA, whoever's in charge, they got together and they said, okay, everyone's becoming anti-woke. Everyone's becoming nationalistic. Let's use X to spread nationalism. Let's use X to spread racism. Let's use X so that people can post 1 million videos of black people being violent so we can get that tribalism going. Let's get all these videos to show migrants and foreigners being violent so we can stoke up the flames of tribalist rage and anger and bring that nationalism back. Let's use these platforms so that we can show the Ukrainians killing Russian soldiers, so we can show, look, the Ukrainians are winning and the Russians are losing, and see, you want to join this kick-ass army against these Soviets? And then that brings me to Kanye West. Kanye West, saying Heil Hitler. You know, many people have been banned from X. I'm not even talking about Twitter. I'm talking about X. Many people have been banned from X under Elon Musk. How come Kanye West has never been banned? He's more dangerous than these smaller content creators. And he has, 33 million followers? Kanye West gave Piers Morgan shit for saying 32 million. But he has over 33 million followers on X. Doesn't that make him more dangerous? Why hasn't Kanye West been removed from X for spreading Nazism? Oh, because it's a psyop. That's why. This whole thing is a psyop. They're using Kanye West. They're using X. They're using these big major platforms to disseminate Nazism. So that when the Reich comes, no one's going to give a shit. Because Hitler will be cool by then.